Good morning, world. This is Alan Price speaking once again about my concepts on the No Tariff Global Trade Anywhere lecture series. Hey! In this edition, I'd like to make some comments on the current Gaza Strip and Israeli conflict and how best to solve this problem using free trade rather than war. This will not be an easy fix, but it can be done if they follow my lead. So, here's where we're at as of today. If you check Google Maps, you will see that the Gaza Strip is actually part of Israel. This was established by the 1949 and 50 Armistice Agreement lines, which also set legal boundaries between Israel and neighboring Middle Eastern countries. Then, in 1994, Israel and Jordan further agreed to a peace treaty establishing a north-south boundary between their countries going up the middle of the Dead Sea. Everything to the west belongs to Israel, and the east is Jordan. A lot of people think that the west bank of the Dead Sea is owned by Palestine, but that's really not true, as you can see. Over the decades, Israel has tried to help the Palestine people by allowing the PLO to govern the West Bank with mixed results. But at least things have been relatively peaceful over there. Contrast that with the Gaza Strip, south and west of the main part of Israel and north of Egypt. For some odd reason, about 20 years ago, Israel allowed Hamas, the armed military wing of the PLO, to gain strength and power in the Gaza and eventually govern that area. When you think about it, that was a critical mistake for Israel, as Hamas has always been very anti-Israel and always will be, realistically down to the last man. A little like how World War II ended. Currently, a negotiated peace treaty between Israel and Hamas is not possible for obvious reasons. I know it sounds bad, but Israel is correct to 100% clean out Hamas and their tunnels and redevelop the Gaza Strip to be economically sound and prosperous. Gaza is in an excellent location for this. Lots of beautiful beaches that tourists would love to visit and spend lots of money doing it. But let's not stop there. They also have lots of land east of the shore area for which they can use to build factories to make products needed by other countries. As soon as the current war ends, obviously the highest priority will be to restore basic human needs like food, clothing, shelter, and medical care. My guess is that we are probably talking a few years and will need to be managed by Israel. This will also require many millions of dollars. Hopefully the international community and the UN can help with this. In parallel, though, they need to come up with a 20-year master plan for Gaza redevelopment. This plan must follow a three-phased approach and will focus on both tourism and participating in global trade. Doing both of these will make Gaza healthy, wealthy, and wise for sure. For phase one, they will need to establish a new civilian government to manage the Strip going forward with Israel and the international community's support. This is a critical phase and should not be delayed once the current war has ended. Also, as part of this phase, they should consider renaming Gaza Strip into something more illustrative of the future, not the past, which has a lot of negative implications and connotations. For phase two, they should focus on tourism. Gaza's shoreline reminds me of the west coast of Baja California in Mexico during the 1970s. In that time frame, Baja had so much potential, but it was underdeveloped. Same with Gaza. The reason I think they should start with tourism is that they already have an infrastructure there, much of which is still intact. Initially, they should focus on the most undamaged shore areas, then proceed slowly to the damaged ones. Pick an existing oceanfront hotel, fix that up, and start a campaign to draw tourists from the Middle East and Eastern Mediterranean. Once they have the kinks worked out, they can then spread to a global marketing campaign as well as develop other shoreline hotels and attractions. If they work hard on this, it should not take that long. Tourism also requires locals to work in hotels, restaurants, provide transportation, give tours, etc. Homes and living accommodations for them will need to be established as part of this phase. Obviously, previous Gaza residents will be included here, but they should also look to other international countries for help. Try to keep a culturally wide support staff, not just one focused on Palestinians. Same basic idea for how cruise ships are staffed. Cruise ships employ a very wide multicultural staff which enhances everyone's experience on board. While working on Phase 2, the new Ghazian government can also be establishing contacts for global free trade during Phase 3. As I said in earlier videos, start by doing a study of other countries' trade needs and figure out what can be done in Gaza to satisfy those needs. Trying to leverage whatever you already have intact will give you a leg up here. Remember, it's all about money, resources, infrastructure, and transportation to markets worldwide. They will need to build larger harbors to establish volume importing of raw materials needed by Gazan factories and volume exports from Gazan factories to overseas importers. As far as I can see with Google Maps, this is the only harbor they have. Obviously way too small for modern trade. Keep your costs low, deliver exports fast and at a competitive price to importers. Well, obviously a lot of detail will need to be worked out here, but this video should give them a head start. As always, I'm always open to alternative suggestions and to help in any way I can. So until next time, this is Alan Price signing off.